most of the time, Wall Street doesn't pay much attention to politics. But lately, this market's gotten pretty political. And so I have to, too, because I want to see if any politician is going to do something meaningful to end the housing crisis, which is causing almost all of the stock market's problems. Right now, it pays to focus on politics, and especially the presidential race, to see who has the answers. Last night, as voters in 21 states made their choice for the Republican presidential nomination, many of them cast their vote for my next guest, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, who had all but written off at one point. He revived his candidacy and defied expectations last night, claiming victories in Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, West Virginia, and Georgia. But we don't care about the horse race in this show. We care about the issues. And that means the need to keep people in their homes and not defaulting on their mortgages. The next president has better come up with some solutions, because what we're seeing in Washington right now has not addressed the real problems. $600 rebate, putting an iPod in every pocket, a Stanley Works chainsaw in every garage. I don't know if that solves it. I don't even know if it's a tax issue. But I want to know what Governor Huckabee has to say on these issues that are dragging down Wall Street. I want to know if he thinks the Fed should ever be criticized. You never hear a bad word about them in Washington. And I want to know, frankly, whether there's a plan, whether he's got a plan to get us out of this morass. Governor Huckabee, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
All right, now first I've got to ask, because it's in the New York Times, there are two people who are claiming creation of you, and one of them is a guy from another network. I know it can't be him, Stephen Colbert. But we have a guy, Conan O'Brien, who seems to say that he created you. Could you solve that for us before we get to the issues?
You know, the truth is, let's let it out of the bag. It was Jim Cramer that created me, and we just have to be honest about it and let the world know.
I have been waiting and waiting for that recognition, and I didn't know it would come from you right on the show. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, let's get to the issues here. I am concerned that when I hear about a $600 rebate to people, that doesn't cover for those who are in trouble with their mortgage more than maybe 1 or 2 months of their mortgage payments. How do we keep people in their homes? What could you do to keep people in their homes who are fighting desperately, cutting back their spending in order to not lose or be foreclosed from their house?
Well, you're right about the fact that the rebate scheme is probably not going to save the economy, and largely because we'll be borrowing money from the Chinese, essentially. We'll be turning around and giving it to consumers who will buy imports from the Chinese. We'll stimulate the economy, but probably the Chinese economy more than we will our own. The mortgage situation is the result of people who really probably took out more mortgage than they could afford on adjustable rates. They saw a house they really wanted but couldn't afford, but they were then lured into that house by lenders who told them, oh yeah, you can come on in at this rate. And they really didn't disclose very carefully just how fast and how high that rate could go. So there's culpability on both the lender and the borrower. But the best way to try to fix this is to force the lenders to sit down and renegotiate those rates. What we don't need is a heck of a lot of government getting involved and trying to bail people out. Because if government goes in and bails out the people who have bought more house than they can afford, or bails out the lenders, just remember that all the other taxpayers who carried out prudent fiscal policies are going to be paying their own house payments plus somebody else's. And I'm not sure that's going to go over real well with the American public.
Well, how about this idea? We continue to hope or push that the Federal Reserve cuts rates down so that people can refinance, and those people who are in a real jam, maybe because they can't get a loan from 1 or 2 nationally syndicated lenders, would be able to refinance by going to the FHA, which could then guarantee this kind of loan and re-securitize it. How about using the FHA rather than relying on the Chinese communists to be able to continue to fund our deficit and give money to people?
That makes a lot more sense than what some of the policies are, and I think, frankly, that is a better solution. The FHA is primarily there in order to help people get into homes. I think it's fair to say you could stretch it to keep people in their homes. But to make it where they end up with terms that they can afford, it may extend the terms. They're going to have to probably make some sacrifices. But keeping their homes is very important to the overall economy. We've got 2 million Americans who are right now at risk of having a foreclosure
Absolutely.
And having to leave. And that's going to have ripple effects through the economy, not just on those individual homeowners, but when they can't pay those homes and they walk away from it, the domino effect is going to have a devastating impact upon the American economy.
Excellent. Governor Huckabee, you are dead right on that issue. Thank you so much for coming on to Mad Money. Great to see you, sir.
Thank you, Jim.
Look, you heard it. We need to get the the FHA involved. My plan didn't seem to diss it. More importantly, yes, it's a housing issue. We have got to solve it if we are going to get any further and go any higher in this stock market. Stick with Cramer to try to make some money.
Recently, 3 of our greatest talk show hosts, Jon Stewart, Stephen Colbert, and Conan O'Brien, have beaten each other senseless, all trying to take credit for me. Well, let's be clear. None of these guys made me. This great nation made me. So, vote for me. God bless America. And forget these 3 idiots.
Coming up, you send the emails, Cramer answers them.